Well, let's go ahead and get started. Thank you everyone for joining the session on demystifying development. Development, as you know, is a really important component of slow food to grease the wheels, help you do the work, help you able to pay people appropriately when it comes to that, or fund opportunities in your communities. So I'm excited to try to make fundraising fun. Try to make it feel like you can do it, like there's a place to start with fundraising, and also to support each other. And how can we brainstorm ways to fundraise at the chapter level and at the network level? So I'm excited for this conversation and hope we can answer your questions and brainstorm a little bit together here. So I just wanted to start setting the stage. Oh, I'm Anna Mulè. I should introduce myself, Executive Director of Slow Food USA. And today we also have Lauren Ruotolo, our Development Manager. So we'll be presenting together today. And Richard, yes, these sessions will be available in a few months, in a few weeks. Yeah. Okay, so I just wanted to set the stage for fundraising and why do we fundraise, and look a little bit at the research of fundraising before we get into the nitty-gritty hows of fundraising. And I just love this quote from Hank Rosso: fundraising is the gentle art of teaching others the joy of giving. And I think, for me at least, it can be intimidating to ask people for money, right? Individual donors, corporate sponsors, foundations. It can be, you feel like a little shy maybe about asking people for money. You don't want to put them out. But then I think, when I think about myself, when I think about giving, it's fun, right? I like to think like, what organizations are doing the work that I'm interested in? How can I give a portion of my income? You know, how can I be supportive? How can I be a generous member of society? And I think that when we ask people to make a gift and to donate, we are helping them have that joy of giving and have that joy of generosity. And that's how I want to frame up development and fundraising here today. It's connecting people and giving them opportunities to support work that they are excited about, that they are proud of. And we're just basically helping do some matchmaking, you know, especially when it comes to businesses. Businesses love to connect with local nonprofits that align with their mission. Same with individuals, same with foundations. So fundraising and development is an opportunity to connect the dots here and help people enjoy the joy of giving. So just a little bit of statistics at the top here. So in 2020, Americans gave $471 billion to charity. And this number has been going up over the last few years here. And you can see a breakdown by type. So we have 79% of this big picture giving is done by individuals. Then we have 20%, 19% by foundations, 9% by bequest, and 4% by corporations. And givingusa.org is a really good source for these kinds of statistics. And it's just helpful to see, you know, the biggest pie of philanthropy in our country is from individuals. And I think that's a really good source in your own communities of fundraising. When we look at that breakdown in terms of where those charitable dollars go, this is a really interesting source to see. You know, number one place is religion, probably not surprisingly, followed by education, human services, foundations. Environment and animals is down at the bottom, but that's still $16 billion annually to environment. So I think this is a good way to see that people are already giving. People already have that in mind, and what we want to do here is to, again, connect the dots and help people understand why giving to slow food is part of their mission and is part of the joy of giving for them. Okay, so the next little bit of this presentation, and we want to talk about different types of development. We're going to start with membership, and then we're also going to talk about businesses, bigger corporate partnerships, and individual giving. And I'm going to start here with membership, but Lauren will also jump in when it comes to other aspects of philanthropy. So Slow Food is a membership-oriented organization, right? We all raise money through membership. And last year we started this revenue share pilot through membership where we set a, can I just get a show of hands or a thumbs up if you're not on video? Like how many of you knew about the membership revenue share last year? Thumbs up. Okay, great. So like less than half maybe. What we did last year was we set a goal, a revenue goal per region. And up until the chapters hit that goal, we are going to kick back 10% of membership revenue. After chapters hit that goal, we kick it up to 50% of a revenue share. And I want to share a, let me see if I can pull up this. I'm going to throw this link in the chat as well. This is a detailed breakdown of how we're doing with membership across Slow Food USA. You can see the big picture chart right here, the membership by region. And you can see over the last 5 years, 2017 through 2020, we experienced significant drops in membership. At one point, we were falling about 1,000 members per year in membership. Last year, 2021, is the first year where that number ticked up slightly. It's still a tick up. I was really encouraged by that. And there's probably a lot of reasons why that ticked up, but I'm hoping that the membership revenue share gives a better reason for chapters to engage in membership and gives a real tangible sense that you are benefiting financially from membership. So here we have the goal for 2022, right? So in the Northeast, the collective goal for the chapters in that region is $32,000. And we have shared a report. And if you don't have access to the report, you can let us know, but we have a report per region so that you can track, I think it updates every night at midnight or something. You can track how your region is getting towards that goal. So the way to opt in, last year we had a separate form to opt into the revenue share program. This year will be part of the annual report. So when you fill out the annual report, which should be available in the next week or two, then you will just say a very brief thing of, yes, I want to be part of the membership revenue share, and here is my plan for raising membership in 2022. We basically just want to know that you are working on membership in some way. It doesn't have to be like every month you're doing, a million different things. It can be like, yes, I will participate in the membership drive in September. Yes, I will promote Give What You Can days, and I will link and reach out to people in my community to talk about membership. So how do you think about membership? There's 3 different ways to think about, again, connecting with donors, members. One is to think about connection and linkage. What is a person's connection to slow food? 2 is, do they have the ability to make a gift? And 3, do they have interest? Those are the 3 basic, call it LIA, basic principles for matching a donor with an organization. I'm just going to mute. Okay. So when you approach individuals, you want to be thinking about those 3 areas. Do they have a linkage to slow food? Do they have ability to make a donation or become a member? And do they have interest? We also, during the September membership drive, we provide a lot of tools for chapters. We send you brochures and stickers. We give you social media toolkits and that kind of thing to help you promote membership. We also have 3 set Give What You Can days throughout the year so that the dollar amount is not a barrier for folks. So April 22nd is Earth Day. September 15th is right in the middle of our membership day. And December 10th is Terra Madre Day. And those are all Give What You Can days. We've done those days in the past, but we've never maybe announced it so far ahead, and just I wanted to let everyone know that consistently we will have those 3 days every year as a Give What You Can day. And then Lauren in a minute is going to talk about small business supporters, because membership doesn't only have to come through individuals. There's also a great way to include businesses in that outreach. And so we'll want to talk about that in a second, but I just wanted to check in and see if there's any questions about membership before we move on to small business supporters. Carol says there seems to be a conflict with Give What You Can days and trying to bring in more funds with higher goals. Yeah, that's an interesting question, Carol. I think the purpose of the Give What You Can Day is to make slow food super accessible. So it doesn't matter, you don't have to be someone wealthy to join slow food. This is great. I think we've heard feedback from farmers especially that they just want to support slow food, but they don't have the money for that extra amount. And surprisingly, Give What You Can days is actually one of the biggest days where we bring in the most revenue. So it might seem counterintuitive, but actually those days bring in quite a lot of money. Karen asked, the date in April is April 22nd. It's Earth Day. Yes, thank you, Michelle. And Bilal here says, yes, Give What You Can days are a great way to get people into the network who are on the periphery, exactly, or still unsure of the org. You can target them with emails to move them up the giving ladder during their next donation. Right, exactly. And we'll talk about tracking donations in a minute and how to do that. But basically, you know, one year if they give $10, you can say, hey, last year you gave $10. Would you be able to give $15 this year? How would you answer the question, what are the benefits of membership? Yeah, I'd love to hear from other chapters about that, because I think everyone answers in a different way. For us, we think about membership as being part of an organization. You know, you by becoming a member, you say that you are aligned with these beliefs and that you're supporting the international, the national, and the local. You can talk about the different programs that Slow Food is doing and all the different things that we're supporting, from, you know, school gardens to biodiversity. So we generally stay at the high level in terms of impact. We don't generally have like super like a discount to a specific business, for example, but that is a great thing to add at the local level. And some chapters do that really effectively. So if you're a member of Slow Food, I think ESN does this, then you get discounts to XYZ local farms or local places. Okay, let's move on to small business supporters, and we can definitely come back to membership if people want, but I want to give Lauren a chance to talk about SBS.
Great, thank you, Anna. Hi, everybody. I'm Lauren. I'm Slow Food USA's development manager. And yeah, so as Anna said, as part of the revenue share, small business supporters can be solicited to become members. And it's a great starting point to develop relationships with different corporate sponsors or businesses in your local area and get them introduced and on board with your chapter's activities. So I'm going to put the link to the program or the membership in the chat. So if you haven't explored it, this is a great kind of like, what is it and what are the different levels intro for you to explore. We do have two levels, $500 membership and $1,000 level membership, and it comes with two individual memberships in addition to a lot of communications perks. So it's really mutually beneficial for businesses to join because they get national recognition through our partnership page, through social media outreach and our newsletter outreach. So it's a great way, as Anna was saying, if you're really trying to reach your target within the revenue share, you know, soliciting businesses gets you to your goal faster because of the membership levels just significantly being higher. So that's a really good way to reach your goals and connect with local businesses. I see it as a, like I said earlier, a starting point to developing a relationship of introducing your chapter and your chapter activities and what you stand for. And, you know, it can turn into maybe a larger partnership where you're hosting events at that location, or perhaps they're donating in other ways, like by giving in-kind donations, or, you know, they sponsor an event down the road because they just see what you're doing and love it so much. So, and I see it as a really great way to connect both with, local and national level. So if you get a small business supporter sign up, at the national level, we're still going to give them great representation through our communication outlets. And then you too will, at a local chapter level, will be doing your communication outreach and, supporting that business in whatever way. So, and lastly, I put a link in here. We've created a small business supporter toolkit for outreach. It has a lot of great things, and you can find it under the chapter leader resources on our website. And it has tools for outreach, like it has a tracking sheet. It has a I developed it a few months ago, refresh my my memory, but it has sample email, a phone call script for recruitment, in addition to one pager. So for when you're reaching out to businesses, in addition to a tracking spreadsheet. So you can kind of, along with your volunteers, track who's doing what. And so I think it's a really great means to supporting local chapters. We have about 30 small business supporters currently. It's really great. It's really nice because, a lot of people just love slow food so much, and it's a way for their business to really give back to the organization. So if anybody has any questions about that, I'd love to answer them, or if not, we can move on to the next slide. And you can always ask a question at the end. So great. So online fundraising, there's a lot of different great methods for raising funds through the internet. First one that I'll mention is Amazon Smile. I don't know if anybody has signed up. It's quite easy. You can just log on to Amazon Smile. There's a specialized website for nonprofit organizations, and you just kind of fill out some paperwork with your organization name, your employee identification number, and then confirm your organization through a few little loopholes. But and then you create an account and link up a bank account, and then you can be eligible to receiving funds through Amazon. So you can enable your donors to sign up, and then every time they buy something off Amazon Smile, a percentage of their purchase goes back to your organization. I'll tell you, it's not that much money, but it is something, and it's a really, if you get a ton of people to sign up, it is something. So, and I know too, it's like, do we really want to be supporting Amazon? Probably not, but it is a means of, taking from an organization, or sorry, a business that's maybe not good, and putting it to something great, right? So that's one means. Another means is through Facebook. If you can, again, become eligible through the Facebook kind of, it's pretty much like a short application where, again, you just put in your nonprofit information, and it creates it verifies you as a nonprofit. So then you can have your donors run fundraisers, and then funds go back to your nonprofit. Again, a really kind of easy, low bar thing to do, so you can have peer-to-peer fundraising and encourage your volunteers to run different fundraisers. Anna asked the group, has anybody had success with Facebook donations on here? On the PowerPoint, you'll see that Slow Food USA has had a number of good fundraisers run by various volunteers and people who support the organization. So that's great.
Lauren, and if I can just jump in here, there has been, because Slow Food USA is the umbrella 501c3, and the chapters are registered under our 501c3. Yes, we've heard, like Alex and Miller are both saying, Facebook doesn't recognize that very well because the chapter entities are not separate from the parent entity. So I was wondering if any one of you have cracked this problem, and if so, if you could share the trick, and if not, we can do some more looking into it. But I think, Alex, what was your experience? Like, you had a ticket open with Facebook, right?
Yeah, so I have a ticket open now and still working through it. But the main challenge, part of it was that we don't have a physical address as well, and they didn't accept a PO box, for example. So a number of issues, but seems to be very much on the Facebook end of just going through that process. So if anyone has any tips, I can keep everyone posted if we make any progress as well.
You know, Alex, our official mailbox is a UPS store because we don't have an office anymore. We're fully remote. I've had to use my home address for a couple official things. It's painful to do that, but there's no other choice. So I don't know if that's something you would consider, but it's the only thing I've found to get around that particular problem. Willow, I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that in terms of Facebook.
Unfortunately, I don't have anything to add. It was our treasurer who tried it and kind of ran into, and I think some of ours also, I mean, like I've been trying to register with PayPal giving as well. And our issue that we're having around the FTB not being certified in California, we just keep running into that because I don't have a bank account right now. So
right, that's a separate question.
That's a separate question.
Yes, the IRS.
Yeah. But I did find with one of them, I can't remember which one it was, but by switching it to my address, like just putting my address helped it, like having a physical address. So it was worth it. So
yeah, it feels weird to have to put your home address for a business or a nonprofit, but that's the only way that we found around it. And Rebecca, I see that there's sometimes a street address version, but they like our address is 9322 3rd Avenue, and they've keyed that as like that is not a real. That's like a box, and that's right. That's correct. So they really do need an official a real address. Karen, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I was just wondering, does the federal government with the EIN number, do they ever allow you as the parent to have, like, I don't know if I want to call it sub EIN numbers so that they could register with their state?
Every chapter should have your own EIN number because that is the state registration. Right. What we offer, so you don't have to register as a whole separate tax exempt entity because you're under Slow Food USA. You become tax exempt by being affiliated through us. We have found, I think it's COVID or something, the IRS is incredibly slow. Like Richard is still on the official IRS documents and we've updated like so many times. They're just like really behind. So yeah, it's some technical issues with that.
But the chapter itself does not file with the EIN, correct? Then you just file for everybody? Is that, or are we supposed
when the chapter submits your taxes, usually that 990 N form, you use your own EIN. But we also submit a list of all the EIN numbers that are associated under Slow Food USA, so that the IRS knows that all of these EIN numbers are covered with our tax exemption. Is that clear?
Yeah, it is. I have more questions, but I'm thinking that you need to move on. So
no, this is important. It's an important part of fundraising. So definitely we can hold some of this. Yeah.
Yeah, no, because I mean, the next one would be like when you're doing like these small businesses and you're asking them to join membership, would you give the EIN number of national or the local chapter?
The small business program in particular membership comes through Slow Food USA. Okay. So you would give, yes. Lauren, let's go back to you and talk about Gofundme, and then we're going to go to other online.
Totally.
And yeah, Willow put in like PayPal giving, yes, is another great one.
Yeah, I haven't had experience with that, but yeah, anything is helpful, right? So yeah, so lastly, with the online fundraising, talking about GoFundMe. GoFundMe is great for specific needs, specific programs, running specific campaigns. An example, one that we're running right now for our school gardens is the development of fair curriculum. So we have a very specific goal. We're trying to raise $5,000. We have like, you know, tiers associated to it. If you give this much, you get this. I think in this example, it's like you give $50, you get recognition in the curriculum. If you give $100 and over, you get a seed packet in the mail. If you give over 250, you get a plant a seed kit plus the recognition. So yeah, my advice for when running a GoFundMe, be very specific with your needs and what you're utilizing the funds for, and really encourage peer-to-peer fundraising, getting your volunteers to share, and you know, having the proper links and just putting it out wherever and however you can, via social media, newsletter, word of mouth, anything is helpful. And I guess going back to, I don't know how many of you have Instagram pages, links within your Instagram, really important. I don't know if anybody uses Linktree, but Linktree is a really great way to have multiple links within one link. I've seen some people make the mistake of like trying to put a link within their post, and Instagram just doesn't really function well like that. So it's really good to put the link within your bio so people can know where to give and how to support you. Next page, and or next slide. Online fundraising continued. Communication. So talking about Instagram and you know, where buttons are, I feel like that is another like low hanging fruit. Having like easy, accessible, visible buttons on your website, on your newsletter, on your social media, so people can quickly view your whatever page they're looking at in association with your chapter, and know how to give, know how to support you. Having those buttons of like, you know, support us on Amazon Smile straight to your organization's profile and how to do that. Donate today, support us through this campaign, and having the proper links. And then, you know, for those who don't feel comfortable donating online or through that mechanism, where do I send the check? Who is it made out to? And I think it's also really important to have links or contact information for those who are interested in having a larger partnerships. Like, how does that work? If I'm a company, how do I easily get in touch with you to support your organization? What does that partnership look like? Or what are the steps I have to follow in order to support the organization? And tacking onto that is donation portals. Perhaps I'm sure many of you do have ways and means of donating online, and here are a few. PayPal is a really good online processor. There's also Stripe is a great one, and I think it's called ProPay. Those are all like online credit card processors to get you your money. And that all of those credit card online processors usually help with like online embedment of links for your website and other things. And I think somebody earlier was asking about CRMs, like how to I can't find it right now, but you know, how to manage and organize all of these donations coming in. If you're finding yourself in a spot, if your chapter is in a spot where you are receiving quite a good amount of donations, it might be time for you to look at a CRM like Little Green Light or Salesforce. Those are really great systems that will organize your donations and the contact information of your donors, so you can quickly and easily track donations coming through, and then create kind of better systems to communicate with those donors and keep them engaged. I'll say I know that little green light starts off at about $39 a month. So that's a pretty great one to start with. I've used it a bit. Salesforce is a bit more expensive. I want to say it's like $2,500 a year, and it can manage a bit more donors per year as well. Karen said, does anyone know of a good link with Google Docs with payments? I don't know. I'm not sure if Google Docs connect with payments. Does anybody know that?
Yeah, I'd be curious to hear from you all what is working well at the chapter level to accept donations and then to track donations. Maybe it's nothing, maybe you don't do anything, but I'd be curious to hear. If nothing is your answer, that's fine. Please, that's fine. Like, put it in the chat. I just love to get a sense of, like, if you're like, I don't know what you're talking about, just that's great. That's also an answer. That's a legitimate answer. Karen, is that your answer?
No, because we've used Google Docs with PayPal and the link keeps breaking because it's a third party. So that's why I'm asking.
So you have PayPal connect into a Google Sheet to track?
Right. So, like you do a Google Doc that names, like you get the name and the address and all that kind of stuff. And then you send it to a PayPal, which is like, they had like a third party with Google Docs or an attachment, and we keep finding that it breaks. So I'm just wondering if anybody else has Venmo. Yeah.
Venmo, yeah, this is where a CRM is helpful. And Lauren, maybe I'll just go to the next slide here, because we talk about, like, once a donation comes in, what do you do? But Karen, something like Little Green Light or some CRM will connect with PayPal and then track per contact, and it will do it in a much better way than a spreadsheet will do, if you're interested in that. Will is asking, what are your thoughts on apps like Venmo? Venmo recently, added a way to give to a business. So I would just check the fees that are associated with that, because each processor will have slightly different fees. The one we use has a nonprofit rate, so it's a slightly lower credit card processing fee, but just something to keep a look at. So when a donation comes in, what do you do? And I just wanted to share our process for donations, and also so you can think about what you do at the chapter level. And this can apply to memberships. Maybe that's your first thing to think about. So when a membership comes into Slow Food USA, we send them a thank you email. And then if they check the box that they want to hear news, we add them to our newsletter. And we also, if they added your chapter, then they will show up on your chapter spreadsheet. And that's kind of like the end of the membership journey. I wonder if you have a process for using that membership spreadsheet, and that might be a really great opportunity to reach out to those new members or renewing members and thank them, to call them, to reach out and welcome them to Slow Food in your region. A lot of times we hear, like, members will say they joined a chapter, but then it's like a dead end. They don't know what's going on. They don't know who to contact. They want to get involved, but they don't know how. So these are the processes that we go depending on the level of donor. So thanking the donor, first off, that's the first thing we want to do. And we have provided, there's a sample acknowledgement letter here. This is what we send to people who give it as, we like mail paper to people who either mail us the donation or give at a certain level. And this, we try to keep this up to date. You are welcome to take a copy of this letter and customize it for your chapter and use it, or adjust it as needed. But this is a great way to send people a thank you letter, who have just donated to you. At a certain level, also, we send them a personal card. I handwrite a card, sign it, stick it in the mail. And also at a certain level, we give phone calls to donors. So Lauren and I split that up and we call the donors. We often leave a message on a voicemail, but it's just a moment to say, thank you. That's the most important #1 step with donors, a thank you. The next step here is to track the donation in some kind of database or spreadsheet. And we are helping you track memberships, but if you're getting donations in other ways, you should think about what is your system for tracking those donations. And again, that could be little green light, that could be just a Google spreadsheet. The way we do it with Salesforce is we have each person has a contact record and we can track their history of giving to Slow Food, so that when we come to maybe making another ask, we know what they've given in the past and how many years they've given and that kind of thing. So the next thing is to stay in touch, right? And provide opportunities to connect throughout the year. Donors are different. Some people just want to make a gift and like, that's it. They don't really want a relationship, but many donors want to make a gift, but then be involved as well. And you know, go to your events and maybe volunteer, maybe join your board. So I think, you know, ultimately here, it's about developing a relationship with your donors and inviting them to be a bigger part of your chapter. And then ask for a renewed gift, and you can decide how often you do this. Maybe it's annually. You know, at the end of every year, we have an end of year campaign where we ask donors to renew their gifts. But just to make that ask, and again, to not have the mind frame that you're like putting people out, but that you're inviting them into the joy of making a gift and to being part of the work that we're doing. So you might want to think about your donor tiers and how you're handling each different level of donor. So if you sit down and look at like what kind of donations you're bringing in, okay, maybe membership is one tier and a member gets treated like X, Y, and Z. They get invited to events, they get a thank you letter, and they, whatever your third thing is, a subscription or a discount to a business, for example. Maybe at a higher level, like if someone gives you $1,000, how do you treat a donor like that? What kinds of things can you invite them to or make them feel like they're a bigger part of the chapter? And yeah, how can you proactively invite donors to be engaged with your Slow Food chapter? I wonder if you all could put a few ideas in the chat. Do you engage donors in any way? How do you engage members? How are you engaging donors? I'd love to, either you could unmute and say an idea, or just put in the chat, like right now, how are you cultivating donors in your chapter? I know, Alex, you all in Slow Food New York City, I've seen that a little more. You've done some really nice GoFundMe campaigns, especially with the Ujima Garden. That's been really nice. Okay, we can come back to this too. Thank you. Maya says we send thank you cards and e-newsletters in addition to in-person events several times a year and volunteer days throughout the year. Great, that's Slow Food Denver. Joseph in Philly, we had events, wine tasting, seminars at the restaurant, dinners with a small surcharge. Yeah, it's nice if you have a charge for an event, you can give donors and members a discount. It's a nice a way to thank people. Caroline in Baltimore, just getting started by asking members what types of activities they want to see. Right, Caroline, so creating that community, so people aren't just donating, but you say, okay, now that you're part of our community, like, what do you want to do? Like, let's be part of this together. Alex, we've been developing an adopt a plant campaign for our garden. Oh, that's really cool. Do you want to say just quickly what that entails, Alex? I'm really putting you on the spot today.
Yeah. Sure. So briefly, we looked at the model that Brooklyn Botanic Garden follows and really liked what they do. And their program is pretty extensive, and they have a robust offering where you can donate or purchase a bench and name it for somebody, or a tree or something larger. So we followed a simplified version of that kind of model. And we picked out certain plants that we grow in our farm in East New York and set a donation amount where you can dedicate that. Maybe it's Mother's Day or Father's Day or another holiday or time during the year, and you can dedicate that in someone's name. And we're in the process. It's there's a lot of back end work with it, where there will be automatic updates and images sent. So something in progress, but we're excited to launch that in the future.
Amazing. Thanks for sharing that. This is a time where your development and communications people really got to work hand in hand, right? To have the graphics and the process and the outreach. I can't remember which organization this was, but there was one, was it Botanical Garden that on Valentine's Day, you could buy a cockroach in honor of your ex or something like that. You know, you can play around with these ways of giving and have some fun with it. Shirley, in Vegas, so far, we've been able to give every new member a job or assignment, such as working as a volunteer when needed or working with a group on events. Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks, Shirley. Okay, so we're going to move more to events and then to corporate sponsorships right now. And yeah, just in general, like we've been trying more at Slow Food USA to provide ways for chapters to work together to fundraise and to kick money back to the chapters as much as possible. So Lauren's going to talk about the auction that we've done and some other opportunities.
Yeah, just at the end of 2021, we hosted an end of year auction and invited chapters to participate. And it was really successful. I think we raised a little over $11,000 and about $4,000 went back to the chapters. And it was really great. I think we had 4 or 5 chapters participate, and some were, had 10 or so donations offered, and some had 1 or 2, and so it was just kind of like a trial, see how it works, and it was really successful. And I think we're definitely going to do it again at the end of this year, and we're definitely going to start it a little bit sooner because it was a little rushed, but I think this year we'll have more time to solicit donations and get chapters involved with like a bit more guidance. So yeah, there's an opportunity to join in on that. It's a little bit less work because all chapters really have to do is like solicit the donations, get them signed up, and then Slow Food USA will like take it from there. And the chapters will get 50% of proceeds. So that's a really kind of like, again, low-hanging fruit, and you can maybe solicit your small business supporters or other corporate sponsors that you're already engaged with, and get a cool thing donated, whether it's an experience or something you can ship off. And then we're also offering chapters to utilize the auction platform that we've been using. It's called Octria, and Slow Food Lake Tahoe just ran their own auction, and I think they only had 1 item. It was a ski pass in California, and I think it was worth something like $2,500 or $3,000, and by using our platform, I think we gave them 90% of funds raised and just took 10%. So, to cover the operating costs of utilizing Octria. But yeah, they raised almost $3,000, and I think it was a really good experience. It was just like a week-long thing, and yeah, I think auctions are a really great way to engage with your local businesses who want to give back and believe in your organization, and potentially get new donors too, those who may not know about Slow Food but see all the great things that you're offering, and then they stumble into Slow Food and become a member. So that's a really cool and fun way to do fundraising. Somebody asked, what is BOD, Board of Directors? I put here for donations. it's really cool to like split up some of the tasks and, you know, ask your board of directors to solicit some of the donations or your volunteers. And yeah, otherwise events are a great way. I know some people earlier have already said that they're doing events and charging a small surcharge or entry fee. It's that's a really great way, whether it's virtual or in person. It's a great way to maybe make some funds. And another way is maybe utilizing volunteer or board of director talents, whether they're educators or they're crafters or wanting to give back in some way, trying to leverage some of those talents to within an event or, you know, a class or, you know, something. Getting creative about it is a good way to potentially turn it into a fundraiser. Any questions about the auction or anybody on the call who participated and want to share?
Yeah, so just to clarify, we have a year-long subscription now to Octria, but we only do the end of year auction, so it's available for chapters to use throughout the year. So if you want to do an auction in April, you don't have to research and buy and whatever, subscribe to a new platform. Just reach out to us and you can use Octria. And then, yeah, we can support that auction for you all. Okay, cool. I want to quickly go through corporate partnerships. And I know that some of you, maybe many of you don't have this kind of bigger corporate partnership, but it's a really, for us, it's a growing way to bring in revenue. And I just wanted to walk through how I handle partnerships so that you can start thinking about it. So the first thing that I do is have a conversation. Here, I'm assuming that I have a lead of some kind of, hopefully a warm lead, that I'm not cold calling an organization. Sometimes I go through LinkedIn and I see, okay, this former intern used to work with this company and now do they know this person? And then I get a connection. And you know, that first call is just a conversation. What are your goals? What are your priorities? What are you working on? You know, sometimes they'll say, we're really focused on this market. You know, we really want to activate in Austin and we're really interested in on-site activations. Okay, then I can kind of craft then how I talk about Slow Food. So then I usually give the overall pitch of Slow Food, the story of who we are, how we operate. And then, you know, in the back of my mind, I go into this conversation with some options for what I could pitch them. Okay, we have Plant a Seed. They could hook it in XYZ ways. We have this chapter doing this thing. It helps to have some options so that during that conversation, I can say, okay, based on your goals and based on what we're doing, here's some exciting ways that we can work together. And I always try to get a very rough, if they're interested and they're like, oh yeah, that sounds great, like let's keep talking. Really trying to ask for a rough budget range. You know, a $500 partnership is really different than a $50,000 partnership. So you want to just ask them outright. You know, they're a business, they have an annual budget, they know where you fit in. Just ask them, what is the ballpark range for this budget? We are, Slow Food USA is a 1% for the Planet partner, and that's something I always try to bring up, because if they are a business partner for 1% for the Planet, and Lauren, if you could throw the link to that in here, to like our page about 1%. So if they give, basically they can give a donation to Slow Food USA and have it count as part of their 1% pledge. So that's a good opportunity to give. So after that initial call, I will send a proposal to the lead and just basically give an outline. It's like a menu. Here are all the different ways that we could work together. Here's a rough idea for like how much I would be asking for these different elements. And I also include the rough idea of like our media reach. So here's our email list numbers, our social media reach, all of that kind of thing. And then after that, it's about fine-tuning the partnership. So it's about reviewing the partnership together, the proposal, fine-tuning. So on the next call, they'll say, okay, I'm most interested in the Plant a Seed campaign and the Cooks Alliance. And then we really drill down into the details. I create an MOU. Then once that's all signed, we'll host another call to like really get tactical. Who's doing what when? How are we activating this partnership? So that's like high level business partnerships. And I think this can work at various different levels of partnership. Again, this could work at a $100 partnership level. It could work at a $100,000 partnership level. The first thing always with development, it's about the relationship, right? It's about having a conversation with that person, understanding how the LAI, the linkage between that business and the slow food, their ability and their interest in collaborating together. And back to this first quote, which I love, it's the gentle art of teaching others the joy of giving, right? You're giving businesses the opportunity to align with slow food. And it should be an exciting conversation. It should be something that you can get people excited to connect with slow food and to align their brand with slow food. Yes, you do have to be careful of whose brand you're aligning with slow food. And we can talk about that if you want to, about how we choose which companies to work with. It's not a black or white conversation, you have to think through it. But that is my general approach to corporate partnerships. And with that, we have about 6 minutes left. I do have some sample, let me actually stop screen sharing and I will pull up. I have some sample sponsored decks that I can share with you all just so that you can get a sense of how we present Slow Food USA, and you're welcome to copy and adapt any of those. That's helpful. But I'd love to just stop here and have questions or anything else that you want to talk about. Joseph says your website shows a lot of resources that Slow Food USA and International uses funds for to help promote. Business links are also listed. Yeah, one of the big benefits that we tell companies is that they're listed on our website as a partner. We give them email, like a spotlight area in our email. We give them like X number of social media tags, that kind of thing. Thank you, Michelle. Yes, that is the session in that folder that Michelle just linked to. If you go to fundraising sessions, I have the sample donor acknowledgement letter. I have a sample sponsor deck for the Plan to Seed campaign from last year, and a sponsored deck sample for Slow Food Live. And of course, you can adjust the levels. So our levels for Slow Food Live, for example, started at $5,000. You could drop that down to 500. You could just adjust based on the kinds of businesses that you're approaching and the scope that you're able to offer. Have any of you worked with businesses? Can you tell us about something that worked or didn't work for you? Shirley, great.
Well, we did an event, and this is where we had our auction with a restaurant, and they fixed a meal. And they are the chef is a really good example of a chef who sources responsibly, and the way we did it was we had a charge, and the restaurant took half and we took half. And when we sold the tickets, we also had the food was donated by local growers and a market. I'm sorry, I'm at a loss for words right now. And the meat was donated, and the vegetables and so forth were donated, and it was really successful. We made a good amount of money on that auction, and worked very well. I think we'll try that again.
Thanks, Shirley. That's a great example. I said this on the Plant a Seed call, was that yesterday? But just to say it again here, I would love to partner with anyone here if on pitching companies. Like if you have a local company in mind, or you have a relationship even with a national company and you think they're a good fit for slow food, let me know and we can work on that together. And we can, it's my delight to help provide some fundraising skills here and then funnel money down to the local chapters. So I would love to work with you on that. We have some resources and pitch decks and that kind of thing. So just let me know. We have a partnership right now with FAO, the Food and Ag Organization of the UN, and they're funding a dinner with Slow Food DC. I'm working on a Whole Foods partnership to fund Austin and Dallas. So just let me know. I'd love to collaborate with you on that. Sarah is saying, we have found interest in marketing agencies that has a primary vertical of restaurants. So we are regularly speaking to the audience they want to be in front of. Yeah, totally. Sarah, what chapter are you part of again? West Michigan. Okay, right on. Thank you. Yeah, that's great. Sometimes PR firms and marketing agencies, they already have a lot of those connections and they're looking for PR opportunities for their clients. And if you can connect them with the work that you're doing, that's great. Like, for example, we're working with Truly Grass-Fed right now, and they really want to get butter into chapter events. So we connected them with Slow Food East End. They shipped them a whole bunch of butter, and they're doing this awesome, Lauren, what's their program called? They have an awesome name, the bread, they're baking breads together. Flower Power, I love that so much. Yeah, so that's been a great opportunity. Fernando, do you want to say what this contact is? Okay, maybe we can touch base afterwards.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
So how do you make sure that you do not get involved with someone who wants to do some greenwashing?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's something we talk about a lot. I think it's a process of that first conversation where you're understanding their goals and understanding what we're doing. And I often do research on the company to understand who they're owned by, what their values are, how they operate. Often I'll check with, for example, with a wine company, I will check with our slow wine people, be like, hey, I don't know this company, but do you know the company and their reputation? Slow fish, same thing. Like, I don't know I don't have like a super depth of fish companies, but they do. So I say, okay, Slow Fish Oversight Committee, what do you know about this company? And they'll guide me on that. So yeah, I really rely on people in the network when I don't necessarily have the content knowledge. There's gray areas though, so yeah, it's a complex conversation. Any other questions? Surely I've reached out to our Latin Chamber of Commerce. I hope to be able to reach multiple business at one time in meeting with them and spark some interest. Yeah, brilliant. That's a great idea. We had done that in Denver with Slow Food Nations. We reached out to the Chamber of Commerce there. And yeah, that's a great one place to hit many different organizations, businesses. Okay, thank you everyone for coming today. Please reach out to me and Lauren if you have questions or ideas. I would love to work with you in partnership to raise money. And with money, you can do a lot of fun things. And I think the more excited you are about the programming, the easier and the more fun fundraising becomes, because it's just allowing you to really make your programs fly and really be amazing. So please reach out and please fill out the survey. That's really helpful to know what your big takeaways are. We have 2 other development-oriented sessions coming up this week. One is on grants 101. So if you really want to dig into like, how do you access grants? How do you write a grant? Basic grant access questions. We have a great guest speaker coming in on the 26th. Then on the 27th, we're doing a session with chapter leaders, actually presenting and talking about like what is working at the chapter level. So come and share, enjoy that session. So please fill out the survey, and otherwise we will see you soon. Thank you so much. Thank you, Lauren, for co-hosting, and thank you, Michelle, for holding down the tech world. All right, take care. Thank you, everyone.